Hey fam, thanks for tuning in to Raw Fulfillment. My name is Mardell Parkin. So I just wanted to kind of go over um, the reason why it wasn't me to start a YouTube channel. It was actually Jesus Christ. So I am a born again Christian. I'm saved, meaning that I gave my life full heartedly to God. And so he washed all of my sin clean, okay? And I accept him wholeheartedly as my Lord and Savior. He's my King. He's my rock. He's my sovereign God. So I just kind of wanted to touch on a subject, my testimony. God has put this on my heart. And he's like, Mardell, I was praying. I was like deep in prayer. And then God's like, hey, Mardell, first, first, let me rewind. So about like 2 weeks ago was when I really decided to really follow God, because I don't believe, once you're saved, I don't feel like, if you backslide, I don't feel like your salvation is lost. It's still there. I feel like it will always be there, but God will always like tug on your heart to come back. However, I do believe that you can rededicate your life to Christ. So I did rededicate my life back to Christ. So 2 weeks ago, what had happened was I ended up rededicating my life back to God, and I just like really pushed in and like prayer. I started fasting. I started writing down all of my dreams and visions, and that's another reason, why God wanted me to open this YouTube channel, because he was just like, hey, Mardell, like when I was praying, he's like, you know what? I just really want you to start a YouTube channel, because for the first day, all I heard was influencer in my spirit. And in my heart, I kind of already knew what he meant. Like, you're influencers of God, like you're fishers of men, right? So we go out and we obviously want to save souls, because that's, I love Jesus so much, and that's what I want to do. It's like, I want to serve him so much. And he's truly transformed my heart. Like, and there's just I guess what I'm trying to say is, so when I was reaching out to him, all I heard was influencer. And I knew what that meant. But then he said, he said YouTube. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch YouTube. But I was like, wait, he's like, no, I want you to start a YouTube channel. And I was like, what? Like, I heard him. I did. Because honestly, I would never ever do it on my own to go and start a YouTube channel. Like, I just, that's just something that I just never wanted to do. But God told me to start a YouTube channel, and he's like, and I'm like, why, Lord? Because he's like, you, Mardell, I need you to go out and reach my people. And this is another thing. When I was praying, he showed me, I can see, he gave me words, like he just was talking like words of wisdom. And I'm so sorry, like this is really touchy for me. Like, you could see why like it would be hard for me to like tell my testimony, because I've been through a whole lot, and I'll go through there in a little bit. But what he said to me when I was praying, he said, very clearly to me, I'm coming soon. It's time to gather my children and make haste. And the kingdom of God is at hand. I'm coming soon. As the mighty king as I am, I'm bringing my people home. And there was just an urgency. Like, when he told me, there's an urgency that just dropped into my heart. And I like started crying, because he's like, make haste, Mardell. And I was like, he's like, I'm coming. It is the end of the world. It really is. I know that I know. Look in Revelations. If you are a true believer, or if you don't even know God, go get the Holy Bible, okay? It's the international, well, mine's the international version. Don't have anything added onto it, just the Holy Bible, okay? So it's in the Revelations. I've read it. I even read it twice. And in the middle, we're literally in the middle of Revelations. I urge you to go and check it out yourself. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that. I know I'm kind of all over the place. This is, like I said, God's in control here, and I'm just purely his vessel. And I just care and love God so much. And I am going to share my testimony with you. And that's why we started this YouTube channel. That's why he wanted me to step out of my comfort zone and talk about my testimony. And it's really hard for me. Like, I prayed and prayed all day. And like, I just was like, honestly, it is a big thing for me to talk about this. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and just go into it. So when I was younger, well, first off, I'm Native American. My parents are Native American. They came out off of the reservation, and they were 17 years old. They came to the reservation. It's both of their sides of the family. I'm the first generation to not live on the reservation, if that makes any sense. So they came out here to St. George, where I live. They built a home, just them two, you know. They were obviously in the world. You know, my dad was an alcoholic. So when I was little, growing up, my older sibling, every time my parents would start fighting because my dad would be drunk and start arguing with my mom, my sister would take us to her room, and me and my two little brothers, and she would hold our ears, and I'd be like wondering, like, why is she like holding our ears? And because my mom and dad would be fighting. My dad would, you know, they would literally like fight, like fist fight, like fight, and I mean, I know how people want to protect their kids from that and like for them not to see it, but I heard it. I heard everything. I heard the screaming. I heard the yelling. I heard it all. So it affected me like down the road in my life. I didn't really know it until recently. Well, not recently. Well, I'll just kind of get into that. So growing up, my mom would always like, we'd go yard selling in the morning. My dad would be passed out, and she'd get her car, and she, like, before it even like would even be morning, like the sun coming out, she would like pack us in the car, and then she'd pack like our clothes and stuff. Like, we'd have backpacks and stuff. And now to think about it, I didn't even really think about it then, but now to think about it, like I think she like pre-packed stuff for us, like times like this, because we later on we would just go yard selling. Like, it'd be like so awesome, because when you're a kid, you don't really like think about like your parents like fighting and stuff, because you're just kind of like just a child, you know. You just want to have fun. So we'd go and, you know, do our activities to the day. My mom would go back to the trailer we lived in, and my dad would be off work, already passed out on the ground, and my mom, because she'd be like, hey, wait, here, I'm gonna run inside, and she would lock the doors when then the car would be running. And so I wouldn't, and so she went inside, and I didn't know at the time, but I know now, but he was passed out. And so we got a hotel room one night, and I remember we all were packed in. Like, I had Vince, Val, myself, Matthew, and Stuart. I think there was 5 of us plus my mom. There were 6 of us in the hotel. It was like night. I remember we were sleeping, and all of a sudden I just heard pounding on the door. Boom, 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 boom. And like, I got scared. I opened my eyes, and all of a sudden I heard my mom yelling through the door, saying, go away, go away. And she had the door locked, and he would like try to open it. And so he had opened the door. She opened it, but it was locked. And then he would be swearing, be like, where's my kids at? And, you know, that's just like a little bit of my childhood. So fast forward, so my mom ended up starting to, she went to church, and I was probably like in first grade or second. Well, me, my brother Matthew, and Stuart, we would go to church, and it would just be us 3 or 4, and so she installed Jesus Christ in me at a very young age, and I knew who Jesus Christ was, but I guess I didn't really know, but I just knew that I loved him. And so throughout my life, so that had happened, and so that's kind of like my childhood. And then when I got older, so in like, let's say like high school is when I was really getting like I was a good student through middle school. Like I was like on the soccer team. I ran like I yeah, I was on the soccer team. And also I did track, I believe. Like I think that was in high school. You know, no, I did track too. And so I did had really good grades. Like my grades were really good. But then as I got older, you know, like just like my dad like later on got saved, but I do still like remember all of that happening. And so I guess God, I mean I do believe in God, but like at the same time I didn't because I guess kind of in a way my life wasn't so great. Like and like when I got to high school, like I completely like I just never fit in like at all. Nowhere. I've never fit in at all my whole life. And you know, I wanted to and but I was just different. I was always different. You know, so that just, you know, I was bullied because I dressed differently. You know, I was punk rock. I was bullied, but I also bullied back. So and I was also, you know, very angry. So I end up like around probably like 17, 18, I started drinking for the first time. And when it felt so nice, you know, I would it would just feel so good. I would just drink like those Mike Hards. And, you know, I mean, I would get drunk pretty quick. And, you know, I started smoking pot. And I was just like, oh, wow, like it was kind of like it was really soothing, but to think about it, it was just self medication. Because after that, I started getting into harder drugs. I started dating. Well, before I get into that, well, yeah, well, I started. Yeah, before that, sorry, it's a while back. But so before that, um, I just got into partying like really hard and I did all types of drugs. It didn't matter what types of drugs, I just did them just because they were there. But then this is when it gets really, really scary is so one time I was partying with my two cousins and we went to my we were just hanging out at my friend's house and then we had left and then they're like, hey, you want to go to Mesquite? And I was like, cool, all right, let's do it. So we were going to Mesquite and then all of a sudden like we were going the back way. I don't know if anybody like went the back way, but it's like a dirt road. So it's like the back road to like Mesquite. So all of a sudden it was like really late. It was probably like almost midnight. Well, anyways, or early morning. So I don't know. He stopped the truck. So it was me and my two other male cousins. He stopped the truck and he said that he lost the keys. So I don't know if he really lost the keys or not, but I blacked out and I passed out and I opened my eyes and they were both molesting me. And I was shocked. I was like, what? I just froze. Like I just couldn't that like I didn't believe my very eyes. Like I felt it was like a dream. And then I came to and I'm like, whoa, like what's happening? So and then like they got off or whatever and then we end up I was just like, what happened? What happened? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm just like, no, I confronted them and I was like, dude, what did you do? And I ended up getting home and I was crying and crying. And I told my sister and my sister was so mad. She yelled at them and like I felt so dirty. Like I felt like I did that to myself. Like at the time, I know like a lot of I don't know if you a lot of females, maybe even males, feel like that maybe it was their fault on like how they were dressing or I don't know like anything like I don't know. And so that had happened and then it affected me really, really bad. I was spiraling because I didn't know like I didn't I never had any like one touch me at that time like that. Like I was like a virgin. Like I they didn't rape me or anything, but like I'm just saying like I've never like experienced anything like that and I don't wish that on anybody. And it was literally probably like the worst day of my life. So I end up going down this downward spiral. I just did I got deep into drugs. Like I started selling drugs. Like I even started dating a guy that started selling drugs. And he was my very, very first boyfriend. And I thought I loved him, but now it was just an infatuation because I wanted to be loved. And as I was growing up, my dad didn't really like he was there, but I guess he didn't really know how to handle females. I mean, he had sons and like he's cared and stuff, but it wasn't like a deep relationship. So I never really had that deep relationship with my father. He never really told me about guys or like anything like about sex or anything like that. So um so I ended up dating this guy. And so we started getting, physical. And and so we I thought I fell in love with him, but he didn't like he wasn't he was infatuated with me. It wasn't love. And you know I just knew because he would just put me down some ways. He would just like say things, but he wasn't like a mean person, but just sometimes he would say stuff that would be like, no, like you don't say stuff like that. And so it wasn't love. So I ended up going through a more downward spiral. He was like selling, I think it was like meth or something at the time. But anyway, so I got really deep into that. I used to have a best friend that introduced me to that. That really destroys your life because when I started smoking that, like it felt good, like really good at first, but after a while, like I felt myself going crazy. Like I started like seeing things and like like demonic spirits would start talking to me. So, later on I found I opened up a doorway because with drugs it opens up doorways, or even with intercourse when you're not married, it opens up doorways for demonic spirits to possess you. So during this time I end up I breaking up with him, and he broke up with me. I kind of went crazy on him because, well, even at the time I was just like, dude, like I knew that he wasn't supposed to be the one for me. Like, I just knew it. But during the time of the breakup, I got even more like deep into drugs. I was drinking, I was doing anything, like I could get pills, anything like meth, cocaine, ecstasy, like anything, and everything. And I'd mix them all together and I'd be drinking on top of that. And then I was just like, I was just a very, very toxic, sad, broken person. So I remember one time I was partying at my sister's house, and I don't know, I think I just did so many drugs at the time, but and then I felt like myself, like I remember when I was walking, and then, so there was the kitchen here, and then there's the hall, and then her room was right here, and then there was the balcony. So it was